Isabella, don't you cry. Don't you ever think you wasted my time. For the rest of my days, I'll keep you in mind. Life's a ladder, and we both gotta climb. Who's little bird on the bed in her cage, scribbling her dreams on a page. Every man back then plucked a feather and went. So fly lower and swallow the pain. Cross Niagara for me while I'm safe on a ship. Plastic coat blocking tears from my head. A better that than to feel or admit that it's real. For my heart to lose out to my head. All these girls gonna kill me. Think I better make up my mind. All these girls gonna kill me. Think I better make up my mind.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to day 2 of the New Zealand Mixed Ultimate Championships. This is the first game of the day. My name is Daniel Clinton, and I am joined by Meg Lake. Good morning, Meg.
Good morning, sir. How are you today?
Everything has dried out overnight a little bit, and we have a sparkling morning here in Kirikiriroa. The first pull is up. We have Marvellous DC Civil War playing off against Marvellous DC Dawn of Justice. It's the same club. It's a scrimmage.
What a great game to start this day. It's going to be a game of huge plays, I'm predicting. The top club in New Zealand, lots of talented players. Can expect to see some really good stuff out here this morning.
And you're an alumni of this club, Meg. You played for Marvellous DC.
Yep. I played with them in Ohio at Club Worlds a couple years back, last year at Nationals as well when we came first. Quite a fun team, quite a great group of people.
Neil
Neil,
throws a hammer.
Beautiful hammer over the top.
Speaking of big plays, I think that Neil is going to be attached to those on one side or the other. Reset. Now back to the middle. Neil again directing traffic. He's very much the general at the moment. He's slowing things down, trying to marshal his offense and get them into the positions that he wants them. He comes up into the cup, does Neil. Oh, there's an opportunity. There it is on the inside. Waller catches the goal. We have 1-0.
It's Crosby to Waller for the score. Crosby is new to this club, her first season with them. Fitzpatrick also out there for his first season with Marvellous DC, both sliding in well to that handler space. The handler offense is going to be heavily run by Aaron Neal on this line. as well as Liam Haberfield, who's out there now.
So Andrew Fitzpatrick played for Taniwha at World Games, not World Games, the World Ultimate Guts and Championships in 2020. And Anna Crosby, she's new to the club, but they both played for a little while, 4 and 5 years respectively.
Yep, and Crosby's rostered for the women's team as well as quite a number of these players. Majority of these players are actually on the mixed team for 2020. Probably too many to list here at the moment, but it's very exciting. Lots of New Zealand representation here in this club.
Okay, so Civil War will play defense now. They held their 0 point, and it's Dawn of Justice's turn. So what's things like on the inside of the club? Are both of these teams going to be pushing hard for bragging rights in this game, you think?
Rumor has it they're not too fussed about who wins. That being said, I do believe that there will be certain players who are out here to win this game, to prove to the other team. Just some friendly rivalry, nothing malicious, but of course.
Because that was the other option. This game, at the moment, both teams are sitting 3-0, undefeated. So, as Blair Munro said this morning, the O has to go. Someone will be losing a game here, but the result will be, if they can hold their last match shortly, they will go through on opposite sides of the draw. So,
yeah, it would look good for a Marv's final.
Stevenson,
get someone out there to give them some good contest. Stevenson out there playing, not cleared to play yet, coming back from a shoulder surgery, but Frisbee's too good to resist. And that's a lovely shot from Soper up to Valdez.
Yeah, Valdez just knowing where to go there, and Soper with a really, really nice throw.
Yep, Soper is known throughout New Zealand Ultimate as just having really amazing throws. Gets a lot of power, a lot of spin, really good precision on all of her throws. Very handy out there on the field.
So a nervous moment there. Both teams ending up turning it over. But they do eventually hold.
Sitting 1-1 in this game so far.
So what's an interesting fact about Marvellous DC?
I'll
put you on the spot a little bit.
This club was started back at U24s in Toronto. A group of friends, I believe it was three couples and a couple of their close friends that were sitting in the accommodation talking about how great it would be to come back to New Zealand and compete together in the mixed division. And it's a bit of contention about Marvellous DC supposedly poaching players from across the country. They really just draw a competitive, highly competitive crowd of players.
We're going to see a little bit of this.
Lovely
Neil.
shot from Neil and a great take by Fitzpatrick. Lovely around to Rollman.
Yeah, Rollman there. That is just one way to cap the point. Neil makes the throw. Fitzpatrick makes the big catch. And that's 2-1.
Oh.
We're off to a great start.
It's hard to say who's going to come out with the win in this game. Both these teams played against each other in the final at the Wellington Regional Qualifier. The team that's in white here, Civil War, came out on top in that matchup. So we'll see if they can hold that again, or if they'll get an upset here.
Sorry, that's Dawn of Justice is in the white this morning.
Dawn of Justice came away with the win. Civil War is wanting to get that back.
So Neil to pull. Relatively flat and fast pull. Soper. It's an isolation. Space. Valdez tries to get free. The reset has to come. Soper strikes to the line. Clears the open around, and it's dropped. Neil is going to pick it up. Yeah, you have to imagine that he's going to look for the end zone every time, but that's actually not going to stay in bounds. He misses that throw.
A little bit of wind here this morning. A nice change from yesterday's oddly still conditions in the morning. Bit of wind, not quite enough touch on that throw. Robertson to take it in on the line.
It just did come in, but then faded back out again, so it's not as bad as it may have been. Strong cut. Oh, the block is there. She came with a full head of steam.
Great block from Mara Neal there. She and her partner Broughton are fresh off the boat from the UK. They've been on a 3-year overseas trip, and they got back last week. Great to see them back in the New Zealand Frisbee scene. Two very talented players.
It's interesting. On the player survey that we have, Mara Neal, it says, under asset, I am quick.
She is quick indeed. Although you can see there, Ruhlman is just as quick. Both of them could have got that score. Ruhlman just had the positioning in front to steal that stat from her teammate.
Yeah, so that's Civil War going up an early break, 3-1. Dawn of Justice left to rue their chances. Seaver just slowed down on that cut, and Mara Neal just able to use that quickness to blast past her an early timeout call. We're only at the beginning of this game. As a manager and a coach and a Frisbee brain, Meg, what do you think of this timeout call?
I think it's a good call, well timed in terms of trying to pick up the game, try to make some adjustments, see if Dawn of Justice can bring the game back, stop Civil War early before they take this game away.
Because it will be Dawn of Justice now on offense. And in ultimate, the offense is supposed to hold. And I say that with air quotes there. But as they take possession first, you would expect them to be able to call a play on the line, be organised, and then convert that O point.
Yeah, have to really treasure that disc. They've got a couple of fresher players on their team. Dawn of Justice has, well, throughout the MDC club in general, there's a good representation from the U20s club, both coach, assistant coach, physio, but also a couple of the players here that are about to go and compete in the Philippines with the U20s New Zealand women's team, which is quite exciting. Yeah,
and the youngest player on the Dawn of Justice roster and probably in the tournament, Zara Bowen out there, number 98, youngest at 14 years of age.
Yeah, she's in good hands here with this club.
She was born in 2005.
That is scary.
I'd finished high school by then. How awesome is that? And there's a big throw. It's going to sit. It's going to be a massive contest. The sniper picks one off early. And there's a high release that's dropped. There's Bowen. She was in the end zone and she was free. She's had a crack. Oh, now a huck back the other way. All of a sudden, it's all action. Stewart trying to get free. He gets the Frisbee. Neal hanging around the disc. He probably wants the reset. He's going to get it. Those long arms. Big throw to space. Neal gets the reset. There's the around. Beautiful looking throw. The cut comes to the near cone. It's covered well by the mark. The defender down the field really didn't know much about it. Neal throws again into all the space in the world. Neal strikes to the line, but there's the cut to the front cone. The fake, the reset. This offense looks great. It is so good looking. And there's the veteran, the wily veteran in the end zone. He's done. Somebody get him some water.
Fitzpatrick to Ian Stewart for that score.
What a point.
Some lovely offense there, capitalizing on that turn. Have to learn to treasure the disc more if this white team is going to want to score.
I'm in favour of moving to calling them white and dark, or light and dark.
I'm
getting them mixed up.
I'm on the road to confusing the names, and as well as confusing all of our watchers who maybe don't know which team is which color either. So we will refer to them as light and dark from here on out.
MDC light and MDC dark. So all of a sudden, this game, 4-1.
Here we go, marvellous!
Dawn of Justice are exceedingly slow out of the gate.
Yep, they've lost one of their integral female players. Eva Weatherall is out with an injury. Big loss for this team. She's huge on their team as for offense and defense.
Oh, huge on any team. She came across to Australian Division 1 Mixed Ultimate Championships, and she balled out. She made some just insane grabs, which is just really par for the course for Weatherall.
Yep, she's been huge. She recently finished coaching the U24 women in Germany and will compete on the mixed team in 2020.
Let's go, Keller.
Stevenson.
Stevenson out here.
Oh, there's that shoulder injury, I think. That forehand was flubbed.
He has not been allowed to throw forehands for 6 months.
Well, I think he should have another month for that, at least.
Yeah, he is training to compete in the Netherlands as well. Hopefully this doesn't slow down his progress.
She's out.
A nice grab there from the young Liddell, but looks like she is out of bounds.
Yeah, her outside foot was down when she caught it. You can see here. Yeah.
Unfortunate straddle there.
Here we go. Stevenson's going to pull the Neil matchup. This cannot result in another break. Another break here is just really, really bad news.
Neil cannot stay away from that disc. Sending a big shot out to Haberfield, and he takes that down in the end zone.
Yep.
5-1 to Civil War.
So this is a great start for Civil War. They're out of the blocks and off to the races. Meanwhile, Dawn of Justice are still putting their cleats on.
Yeah, we'll hope to see them fight for this game a bit more. They've got a talented batch of players. By no means are they.
Well, how do you get them back in this game, Meg?
I reckon they need to treasure the disc more. We talk a lot in this club about personal responsibility. You have the disc. It is your responsibility to make the best, to take the best option and to execute that throw. Don't throw a 70% shot. Throw a 90%, 95% shot. If you're not confident about a throw, don't throw that. And I think we've seen that a couple of times where it's been a really close matchup, and they just haven't quite executed, or they haven't. There's just a bit of a disconnect between the throw and receiver. So hopefully they can clean that up.
They're going to have to if they want any chance at winning this game. Being down 4 points early, they need to convert an O point here at some stage. Haberfield is going to play both ways here. He's going to pull. And here it comes. Nice outside in. Looks like it will sit in bounds. It's allowed to fall to the ground. So Civil War have come down in a zone, a very poachy zone. But there is a big hole in the middle of the field.
Seeing some good movement here from these players.
It's interesting the contrast. Yesterday we saw Hamatron Prime running their hex offense, very fast-paced, very quick disc movement, you know, stall 1, stall 2 movement. Whereas here, both these MDC clubs are much happier to just kind of relax on the disc a little bit. We saw Neil earlier marshalling the troops around and not really moving the disc before stall 6 or stall 7. And so the contrast in styles is interesting, but it's working thus far. Dawn of Justice have managed to work it down deep, and they are now in the red zone.
Yeah, MDC functions a lot more off a handler-driven offense. So you can see a lot of times the handlers will be faking the disc, telling their downfield or their swings where they want them to be, pointing even. Aaron Neal does a lot of pointing. I want you there, and he will keep pointing until you go exactly where he wants you to be. Or is I think the
oh, there it is! What a
huge
block
from Fitzpatrick, but a foul is called on that.
Nah. Nutmeg. Send it back.
Uncontested foul.
It's not a foul, man.
It was a lovely block. There was some contact after the play.
It looks... okay.
It's a tough one here in New Zealand. It's been a lot of contention around contact, dangerous plays, etc. That one was just a bit of bumping, two people going up for the same disc. Unfortunately, the resolutions often do favor the offense. It was a lovely block, lovely awareness from Fitzpatrick. And we've got a score. Dawn of Justice to get another point on the board.
Well, that's 5-2. That's definitely what Dawn of Justice needed here.
Some pretty low energy, not too much excitement from the club, which is interesting to see. In the past, they've celebrated anything. It's their own club, so it's, I guess, maybe coming out of a contentious call like that, it's harder to celebrate. But a lot of, traditionally, this club has celebrated wins regardless of who's scoring the points.
Yep.
As it should be. It's your teammates at the end of the day.
Yeah, and regardless of who wins this match, at the end of the day, it is going to result in, provided both teams win their next match after this, it's going to result in them going through on opposite sides of the draw. So there is the potential for an MDC all final.
Yeah, we have seen that before. We've seen that at a number of tournaments. Would be interesting, I'm sure there would be some clubs throughout New Zealand that are disappointed to see that, but it's always a good game of Frisbee when so much talent is out on the field. Pull from Robertson.
And the cynic in me can't help but wonder, is Dawn of Justice sandbagging a little bit, just hiding a little bit, you know, in the expectation that they do get through to the final. Neil is going to reach to the poached player.
It's a close defensive bid by Liddell, but unfortunately let her player get away. Neil taking advantage of that.
Aaron Neal now with the Frisbee. Middle of the field. They go to work, Civil War. Using width of the field. Inside isn't there. Neil. Marked well by Valdez. Neil is going to reach with the hammer. What a grab.
Safe hands of Ruhlman. Neil with yet another, I believe, his third hammer of the game.
And what feels like his fourth assist. He is all in the action at the moment. And the Civil War women are lighting it up. They are a handful out there. The matchup in the early going favours the women from Marvelous DC Civil War. What a name. What a name. Can you explain the name Marvelous DC? What's the concept behind that one?
Marvelous Disc Club is the official name of this club. I'm sure it is not apparent by our jerseys or any of the names in the back, but we are inspired by Marvel and DC, the comic franchises.
So a lot of all the jerseys have superhero or comic nicknames.
They do, yes. Everyone got to choose their own names. And as players come and go from the club, their players' names are retired for a certain amount of years until it's certain that they are not coming back.
So what was
club.
yours when you played for Marvelous DC?
I was the Black Canary. I quite liked
Oh,
Arrow,
okay.
the TV show.
Yes.
Black Canary. I wanted some more female superheroes out there, so.
That's outstanding. Dawn of Justice, go to work. Now time for them to get a no point. Not much down the field.
Good awareness there from Neil.
Aaron Neal just doing what he does best. Waller on the far sideline. Ball's been quiet so far. See, now we compare the two offenses. There's more down the field for Civil War than there were for the Dawn of Justice squad.
One of the interesting things about watching these teams play is watching a bunch of players who are quite integral to their men's and women's club teams come together and play on a field where they're not the big dog anymore. They're not the ones who run the show. Everyone can and is capable of doing anything. We have a lot of fun with that in this club. Not being stuck to a position. You're not a handler. You're not a downfielder. You play where you fit in best in a certain line. On a point-by-point basis, it can be different what you're doing out on the field. But you'll see that with a player like Waller, he's a force to be reckoned with. But out here on the field,
Nice catch.
He's quite tame. A lovely pickup there from Heather Hickey. She's just recovered from a huge concussion that she got earlier in the year. Awesome to see her out playing again. She's a phenomenal athlete, very safe player.
Reaching, Neil. It's all Neil.
A nice
He's gonna
foot,
call a
but
timeout.
unfortunately into the hand of the defender.
I mean, that's no fear. Putting something up into the area when Neil is around, that is no fear at all. So that, coming back to the concussion, how did she receive that? Do you know?
I do. I cannot remember in the moment, but it's been something she's been struggling with for a long time. And she's actually a physio herself, so she's been quite aware of her recovery and has been playing it very safe, not coming back too soon. She's a physio for the U20 New Zealand teams that are going to the Philippines and Sweden next year. She's very, very heavily involved in the Frisbee community. Very neat individual.
Wow, what an advantage for the under-20 squad to have a player of that caliber come with you as a physiotherapist to understand the rigors of competition, not only as a player, but then as a physiotherapist on top of that. That is exceedingly valuable, I would say. So 6-2 the score.
Got a timeout, and Civil War is coming out on offense. Got to work it all the way down the field, but the disc is coming in the hands of Aaron Neal, so we can expect a big put.
Well, he managed to warm up with 20 minutes of forehand touch. He didn't throw a backhand in that time. It was all forehand.
We'll see if Dawn of Justice can do anything on their defense to try and shut down some of these players.
Well, which camp do you fall into, Meg, when it comes to calling midpoint timeouts? Are you for or against?
Relatively against. I think it slows the flow of the game. The few times I do think it's quite beneficial is if you get a long put and there's nobody in the area, call a timeout, veteran call, but just give yourself a reset there. This is an interesting placement for the timeout. It was a bit of chaos downfield, obviously the rest of his team being on defense and having to switch out, but
oh, Waller is just gonna go, and Neil is gonna stick it to him. What a throw. That is
beautiful.
Oh my word, that is 2 passes for the score.
We might have spoken too soon about Waller being quiet in this game. A lovely cut from Waller, lovely assist there. Just what you expect to see from Ben Waller.
Wow, what a cut that was.
And a lovely...
He ran past 13 players on the field to get that, and nobody was catching him.
Would have expected to see the defense there setting up with somebody ready to poach off and go and help out in the deep space. Didn't see anything of that.
Well, the other interesting thing was that the force was forehand, but then they bit so heavily upon the fake that it opened up the backhand shot. Wow.
See if Dawn of Justice can clean it up. They are getting quite behind now on the scoreboard, 2-7. Civil War likely to take half here.
You think they break again?
I reckon they are going to get this. I don't see enough fight out here from Dawn of Justice.
So how do you get the fight, Meg? Being a coach and a leader of Frisbee players, when you notice that your team is lacking fight, what do you go to in your bag of tricks?
It's different for each player, but with this group in particular, I would encourage them to do some visualization. I'm a big fan of the mental game in terms of picturing yourself, making the big plays, making the layouts, making the layout Ds, throwing big throws, completions, just putting into your mind what you want to have happen, what you want to be able to create out on the field. Giving yourself that bit of positivity, a bit of a pat on the back, that you have the skill, you have the capability to bring a game back. Talking about this team's strength, they're quite safe on offense generally, but just don't have quite enough drive on some of them. Some of these throws here.
Oh, the inside out.
Nice throw there from
Scuba.
Liddell.
Oh no, he's Haberfield is completely whiffed on the block. Waller is in there and gets caught.
Amazing catch from the young Liddell.
Liddell with presence of mind and a steeliness beyond her years.
Two really great bids from Civil War's defense, but unfortunately could not get there. A lovely point for Dawn of Justice.
I need Haberfield and I need Waller's phone numbers. I want to send them a text message, give them a call, and ask if either of them want to make a play on defense. Because they both had a massive look at that disc. Haberfield first, and then Waller. Waller just didn't catch it.
It was a great pickup from Liddell there. Second try, grabbed it with one hand. Lovely save, lovely catch. Puts her on the stat board.
Great concentration.
Very exciting. Like I said, I wasn't calling that point for Dawn of Justice, but they fought for it and took it. We'll see if Civil War takes it back to go to half.
Coming back to the conversation we were having around fight and energy, and you said that visualization was where you would go with this team. The other option also is that fight, that pump up, that excitement. Maybe they need a game of like Ultimate Ninja or something on the sideline to get the blood flowing and get into the game a little bit more. That pull is going to come backwards a little bit. Stewart lets it fly and land. It's inbounds. Neal. Waller in space, not going to get it. Stewart goes fast. Haberfield. Oh, Armstrong is free. He is all kinds of open, but Waller has shanked that a little bit. It's going to sit a long time. Armstrong gets bodied out of it.
Yeah, going back to what you're saying about pumping up a team, high fives are always a great one. Just getting out on the line, high-fiving everyone, going down, asking if they want the game, if they want the point, just really trying to get people amped.
Well, Dawn of Justice now are on 0. Nice up the line cut. Valdez gets out, tries to get under on the break side. There's another strike cut. Dawn of Justice. They're getting a little bit of movement now. Here it comes. A look for width now that
Nice
throws.
grab from Valdez. And a lovely fan turnout to Heather Hickey for the score. Dawn of Justice on the up and up, 4-7, bringing it back.
What a great point that was.
We've got a timeout called.
Oh, a Civil War maybe getting a little bit nervous. Dawn of Justice is suddenly starting to play. They got the break. Well, they had the hold, and now they have the break. Hickey catching that goal from Van Turnout.
Some nice movement there from Dawn of Justice.
So in the Dawn of Justice huddle right now, what are you saying to your players?
Telling people to continue capitalizing on that offensive movement. They're going to be coming out on defense here. Just encouraging people to dig deep and really go for that disc.
Because halftime is coming up. You would have to say that Civil War do eventually take the 8th point at some stage. What do you think Dawn of Justice should be aiming for in terms of a scoreline? Would they be happy to go into half at 8-4 or give up this point, or are they aiming for, say, 8-5 or maybe even 8-6?
I reckon they're going to want to bring the score closer. Coming out in the second half, it's going to be, I think we can expect to see more of a grind at both points, seeing that the end isn't too far and that they just need to dig deep and grind it out. Both teams are very capable of doing that. But it'll be, yeah, I think that point differential might make a big difference if it's coming out 6-8 versus 4-8. It's a bit harder to come back from, especially if they're a bit flat. But they continue playing and picking up like they are now, they might just be the second half team that this game needs.
Well, they're starting to accelerate into the game, leaning into it a little bit more. Civil War break huddle second. They're now going to head to the line.
We've got Weatherall out there doing some coaching, giving some expert advice to the line.
Yeah, she's crouching down there in the light kit with that heavily strapped left calf.
She's been struggling with some tendonitis in her knees. Both knees have been giving her quite a bit of grief. She's done a good job resting them after competing in Australian Nationals. And it'll be hard for her. She's been working really hard in this week leading up to Nationals, really trying to get back out on the field, feeling really good, but I think having maybe a bit of repercussion coming back out after a bit of rest, something she's not used to doing. She's always been heavily active, heavily involved in the sport.
She does look very stiff though.
Hopping backwards off the field.
So
all
would
the
you
best
expect
for
her
her
to play? Should Marvelous DC make the final? Would you expect her to plead up?
If it's a Marv's final, I expect she probably will not clean up. I think she's got bigger and better things in mind with Worlds coming up. Although the temptation will inevitably be there for her to get back out on the field.
A temptation you know well, Meg.
Yes.
Coming back from your major knee injury, you said yesterday that it was very hard watching your team, Space Invaders, play.
Yep. Yeah, we had a hard loss against Hammertron Prime yesterday, and myself and one of our injured players. Really
Oh, Heather Hickey.
No
Heather
call there
Hickey.
on that play. White to pick it up and get it moving.
Big coming together between Hickey and Neil. Hickey now, she's going to look, she's going to throw the score. What a star she is being in this Dawn of Justice fight back. The resurgence is real. The score 7-5 now.
Yeah, and that was Hickey to one of our U20 girls who's out there. We'd mentioned her name earlier. She is the youngest player out here.
Yeah, Zara Bowen. What a good start she's off to in her Frisbee career. High-level game like this, 14 years of age. imagine she would have had to have gotten yesterday off school.
I imagine that's true.
I wonder if her parents would have had to write her a sick note because she's still a minor. So we'll have to ask her at halftime, go over and see what the story was there, whether her parents or her guardians gave her yesterday off school to come and play Frisbee.
I can imagine they would have been quite supportive. It's very exciting to be playing with such a high-level group of Frisbee players. Always a bit interesting for young players, though, getting their parents on board with such a grassroots sport. Definitely nothing like soccer or basketball or, I guess, rugby in New Zealand, where it's, well, of course, everyone's on board with rugby, and whereas Frisbee, is that a real sport? Is that just something you do with your dogs on the beach? And,
Oh, it's a real sport, Meg, as we're seeing here.
Indeed.
And it has some real athletes. Waller looking.
Haberfield streaking deep.
Neil to another Neil.
Neil to Neil. We've got 3 Neils out here today. 4 Neils, if we include Sally. Unfortunately, she's out with an MCL injury for this tournament.
Nice throw to Waller. Neil, always hovering.
Over the top shot to Haberfield there, finding Mara Neal in the end zone with the score, and that is half, 8-5. Bit of a closer score, might still be a bit uncomfortable for Dawn of Justice.
I think that Dawn of Justice are actually happy with that, though. Being down, 5-1, that's a rough start to any game, and they've managed to fight back into it. They've, 7-4 was the score, but they broke again to bring it to 7-5. They give up that 0.2 Civil War, but they've got to be reasonably happy with that, I think. We're going to take a quick break here for halftime. We'll be back in approximately 7 minutes for more action here from the New Zealand Mixed Ultimate Championships in beautiful Hamilton on the North Island of New Zealand. We'll see you shortly.
Don't know why, but I won't go crying about that shit, just let go. Sometimes I just need a little bit of time to be alone with my headphones. Like me some of that electro, give me some of that new leftover. Might fuck with a little bit of info, might be some tone when I feel good. All that I really wanna do is chill and build that goal. Don't wanna stress about the next show, feel like my head's about to explode. Sometimes I've been in my room all week and I wanna pack up and get going. Sometimes we've been on the road for a month and I miss my girl when I get home. And when I get home, I get home, and when I get lonely, sometimes I just need to get blown. That's not no innuendo. Sometimes I don't wanna overdo it, tryna be the man. I ain't tryna impress nobody, just wanna express who I really am. And I know this ain't my best flow, but I gotta be me. Don't wanna compete, but if you really want it, then let's go. But I don't even really know what I want anyway. What I really need is to let go of the ego and chill. Sometimes I just wanna kill. Sometimes, cause we ain't got a lot of time, and it ain't no way to stop the time. But it make time to take time out and chill. Sometimes I just wanna kill. Sometimes, cause we ain't got a lot of time, and it ain't no way to stop the time. But it make time to take time out and chill.
I don't wanna say what's on my mind. I just wanna drink a little wine. Might get a little bit high. Spend a little money, waste time. I just wanna do what I do. I just wanna do what I do. I don't wanna say what's on my mind. I just wanna drink a little wine. Might get a little bit high.
bus with a man that's made a stream. Find time to rid the world of all your precious sin. There lies the library man, living in his paginated life. I'll find solitary in the pages in between. F-pause, broke machine, all these better things. Run, tell a better man, go find him if you can. On my radar, I see you on my radar. You know you're on my radar. I got you on my radar. Uncertain time. Uncertain time. I yell poetry to heady men to listen. You Bible bashing bigots keep blistering me. I'll find religion exactly where I shouldn't. If there's smoke, there is fire, I will find it. Leafy street, gold-plated sheep. There ain't nothing like that in town. You're on my radar. I see you on my radar. You know you're on my radar. I got you on my radar. Uncertain you're on my radar. I see you on my radar. You know you're on my radar. I got you on my radar. I found you on my radar. I got you on my radar. I feel you on my radar. Still got you on my radar. Uncertain time. Uncertain time. Uncertain.
Everybody's going wild at this crazy new dance style. Throw your hands up and put your laughing face. Put your heart in the hands of the new Nazi Western state. I don't know who I am.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're coming back after halftime here. Game 1 in day 2 of the New Zealand Mixed Ultimate Championships. My name, Daniel Clinton. Meg Lake joining me again. Meg, we're having a bit of a chat there at halftime. How do you expect this game is going to go? Predict a final scoreline for us.
Oh boy. All right, here we go. So, right now we're sitting 5-8. Dawn of Justice at 5, Civil War at 8. I am predicting Civil War is going to take this game unless miraculously we see a huge comeback and some drive from Dawn of Justice. I would predict, I'm going to go with a 15-11 score to Civil War.
Okay, I'm going to write that down. 15-11 to Civil War. We'll revisit that because as the game is poised, I think that is actually a very good prediction. Civil War have looked the goods thus far. They've been solid.
Dawn of Justice proving that they have that offense. They have the throws, the catches, the cuts. Not quite the defense that we're looking for out here, but they've got some fire still.
It is quite warm today. Oh,
huge
reaching
shot there
out
from
there.
Angus Hines. Lovely shot. out to Peter Hubin for the score.
Wow.
6-8. That was some nice offense. If they can bring it out on defense here, I might be convinced that they've got something more. It's a talented, like we were saying before, a talented group of players. Can't really go wrong with either of these teams. Be one of those groups where picking an MVP is kind of a wild card because there's just so much talent, so many great plays out there.
Yep. Richard Carr, the defender on that deep look, just getting caught underneath the disc, came near side to cover the cutter, and then it was obviously the free player behind him. The fat side throw.
Yeah, a good placement of that throw, being a bit high for Carr to have a reach to it. Good placement of the throw there. What you like to see in a one-on-one matchup where the disc is favoring the offense.
The Civil War. Neil takes the line out there with Waller, Ruhlman, Haberfield, Ian Stewart.
Nice pull there from Peter Hubin.
Oh, Haberfield in space. Nearly cuts out of his shoes.
Huge shot from Haberfield.
Valdez!
Valdez with the block there. Great positioning. Disc fading just in front of Waller, giving Valdez a perfect shot to get that block.
Michael Valdez climbing up there. That's a very nice block. Ben Waller really unable to find an angle on that disc.
Valdez is joining us from the US. He's been in New Zealand for about a year now. He was our the MDC hype man when we were in Ohio. Good friend of Rich Carr's, came out and joined us for the excitement of Club Worlds, and it is awesome to see him out here playing with this club.
There's a travel call here. Neil on Van Turnout. We'll come
Signals
back
our
here.
uncontested travel call.
I'm not sure
Maybe
about
a bit
that
of a
one, Neil.
nitpicky call. It's hard to catch those sometimes when the offense is moving quite quickly. Being able to figure out if people are throwing during movement or if they've planted a foot. Lovely Liddell to Liddell.
Turnout goes. He's going to put it up there. Pack forms. Neil, Waller, none of them. Valdez snakes the pack.
Over the top of the group to Valdez for
the tallest guy
the
down
bookends.
there. The tallest guy doesn't jump and catches it on the ground. What an excellent read. The throw wasn't great, but it works out in the end for Dawn of Justice.
All right, 7-8 here. Dawn of Justice coming back. Do you have an updated score prediction with this new revelation that Dawn of Justice has something to bring to the field today?
I'm just going to return to 5 minutes prior. Meg Lake said that Civil War are going to win 15-11. So we got a little bit of work to do to get there. Meg we'll keep an eye on this. All of a sudden, out of halftime, Civil War are asleep. They went for a nap under the trees. And Dawn of Justice, maybe they played some hacky sack over there. They are all of a sudden in this game. We return to the Valdez block. Oh, yeah.
Lovely block, getting that bookends of the point with the score as well. Out here on defense, we'll see Robertson with the pull.
Big inside out. The energy, though, is fairly low for Dawn of Justice. They're not the quickest getting down there. Haberfield.
Getting looked off initially. There's Neil with the classic hand signals telling his downfield where he wants them to be. Lovely shot from Mara Neal over the top.
Oh!
Neal to go up, but Robertson is there getting the block. No call there, despite a bit of contact. Both of those players have been playing in Australia, the US. Lots of just comfortable with a different level of contact than most New Zealand players are.
It's a slightly different interpretation of the rules, coming back more onto whether or not it affected the play and whether or not the contact was undue and dangerous. Oh, a shot by Van Turnout.
To Danny Paul. Danny Paul is a great receiver. Lovely grab there. Huge take. Very nice point. Tying it up 8-8 here. I am rethinking my score prediction.
Well, I believed you, Meg. I thought, yeah, 15-11 is a reasonable way for the game to end. You know, I could see that happening based on what we'd seen thus far. And all of a sudden, this game has been turned on its head. Dawn of Justice. Out of half, 3 points in a row. And a timeout is called. Oh. So if you're in Civil War's huddle right now, Meg, what are you saying to your players over there?
Just one question. Where are we? Where are their players? They've had some good attempts out there, some good good looks on offense, but just can't quite come away with anything. Dawn of Justice has found a new fire, and they need to match it or surpass it if they want this game.
It's interesting. I think that before the game there was that little bit of awareness that this game really, there was no losers here today. But as this game has gone on, I get the sense that the competitive nature of both these squads is starting to come to the fore, and that both of these teams, as the game is going on, they're here to win. Like, yeah, okay, it doesn't really have much impact on the draw as to who goes where, but I get the sense that neither of these teams is going to lie down after what we've just seen.
Right. I think it's probably a game where they came in saying, if we've got players with niggles, if we've got players with injuries, take this game and rest. It's not, the score doesn't matter. It's not important. It's not worth making an injury worse or getting injured over this game. But I think some of those players probably having a hard time sitting by and just watching this. I think it can also be quite detrimental to go into a game with that mindset. Just looking on the start of day 2, first game, if you start off with thinking that, oh, this game doesn't really matter, we don't really need to put everything out on the field, that can set you up quite poorly for the rest of the day. And those games are only going to get more important. I think they both got fairly safe games after this. One of them's coming up against Old Boys, the other coming up against Kennelly. Kennelly's got some fresh legs today, but Old Boys is just going to be a bit more defeated after going without a win yesterday. Unfortunate day for them, but we'll see if they can.
A rough end to the day as well. They were on the live stream field. They lost that Universe point thriller after having been down a long way, fighting back, getting in front, and then losing. I feel like there was some tears and beers last night for the Old Boys
Hopefully
Sports Club.
They could get a bit of a reset this morning, but knowing that they're coming up against one of these teams halfway through the day, a bit discouraging, I think, for them, for their mentality, but MDC is not overly concerned about that game. Obviously, they'll give it their all, as they always do, but like we said, I think both these teams have stepped it up and taken this to be an actual nationals game, which is really good to see.
Fitzpatrick gets it to Neil. In a change of pace, Neil has gone down the field. Haberfield. He points.
Good directive handler. Got Risner with the disc there. Giving it back to Haberfield.
They're in the red zone, our Civil War. They need this hold. Going to reset it. Fitzpatrick, been in the action. Haberfield. Little floaty pass, it's there.
To Ruhlman, a cute little honey pass there for Haberfield and Ruhlman. Lovely cut, good receiver, good find there.
And Ruhlman's looked great early. She's been on the scores. 9-8, that's what Civil War needed. They needed that settler.
Yeah, that's their first point since half, so it's good for them to feel like they're back in the game, back fighting for it. Dawn of Justice only to come out more fired up after that.
And it's interesting how the momentum can change in a game. And Meg, what is your thoughts? Have you ever had that situation where you're in front but you feel like you're losing because of the momentum has shifted away from you?
Most definitely. Yeah, that's when it comes down to the mental integrity of the team.
So is that how you overcome that momentum, and that is through mental strength? And
I reckon, yeah, trusting your teammates as well, trusting that you're going to keep doing things, you're going to keep making offensive plays, shutting down defense.
Well, Dawn of Justice will go on to offense now. Neil's going to play both ways along with Waller for what feels like the first time today. Fitzpatrick as well. Mara Neal. This is a power line for Civil War. And Dawn of Justice offense. Stevenson finds it. That's a better forehand.
We were talking earlier about Stevenson's injury. His throwing arm, shoulder, having an operation on that. Would be probably better to see him out in the downfield, especially with his height, tactically, just going and nomming those discs, doing what he does best. But he is favoring the handler space.
Nomming?
Nomming the discs. That is what he does.
Noms it.
Nom, nom, nom. It's his play.
Okay.
But here he is, out getting the disc in that handler space.
Oh,
lovely inside shot, but it is in the hands of the defender.
It was never, ever going to work. There's too many defenders reading that well. There's a pick call.
Pick called, but the disc is not collected.
That is technically a turnover.
It's a rule I've always had a bit of a trouble with.
But it has changed recently. The throw was to Waller, and Waller stopped. He shouldn't have stopped. He needed to go catch that because it is his ground. In my view, I believe that should be a continuation.
We've got Captain Haberfield out here replacing Ben Calla in an injury.
He's a bit sore, limping off the field there. They're just going to sort out what is happening with the Frisbee. I would anticipate that it's going to go back.
Not sure if the stoppage was an injury, really. I didn't see the injury call come out.
Well, there was a pick as well as an injury. I'm not sure if the pick was called. So Neil will get another shot at this. I think that Civil War, they're buying a vowel on that one. But what a power cutting line this is. Waller. And Burn Turnout's going to go tight on Neil.
Very nice defense there from Dawn of Justice, shutting down exactly what Civil War is looking for. They know the play, they know that Neil's looking for Fitzpatrick long. Shutting both of that down, both those options down. We've got stoppage here.
There's a pick call. Like Robertson just getting hung up there.
Lots of players around the disc at the moment.
Just keeping an eye on Aaron Neal. He's getting very, very frustrated out there.
They put Troy on Fitzpatrick, which is a great matchup. Dawn of Justice really matching what that team's looking for, like I was saying before.
Oh, Neal. He's just going to stick it to Mara Neal. And she's all kinds of free. What a big time throw by Aaron Neal.
Lovely sibling connection there. I'm sure Aaron is happy to have his sister back in the country.
Yeah, the Neal Ultimate Frisbee family is gifted.
The Neal Dynasty is how we refer to them here. A quick shout out here to cousin Neal, Sally, who's Aaron's wife, who's on the sideline today with MCL injury. As we were in Ohio at Club Worlds in 2018, the commentators for our streamed game were quite confused that they were thinking Neal might have been just a very common surname in New Zealand. Lots of Neals out there. We had
no, they're all married or siblings.
Yeah, but there was a prediction that Sally was maybe a cousin, but is in fact a wife.
So now, henceforth, she's known as Cousin Neal.
Cousin Neal. There's another Neal who plays as well, Andy Neal. He's not out here at this tournament. He was previously, I think he played some of the qualifier tournaments, but he's got a family to look after as well, so he's taken a bit of a step back from his ultimate career. But the other Neils are Becca Neal, who's on the other team, is also back from the UK quite recently, stepping back into this New Zealand Frisbee game.
Like they never left.
Like they never left. And it is 10-8. Civil War is in the lead again. Oh, they've been in the lead. They're holding their lead.
Well, they've just increased it again. Breaking Dawn of Justice. Stretching things out again. Haberfield with a outside in pull that will sit just in front of the end zone line.
Then Turnout and Broughton moving the disc here. Coming up against a zone. Pretty still conditions for zone. There's a light breeze here, but shouldn't do anything to the capable throwers here in MDC.
Looks like they're just happy to work it around Dawn of Justice. Just lateral movement, looking for an angle.
This offense will be won or lost by Dawn of Justice. I believe it'll be either they can have the patience to keep working it, keep swinging it, finding the open space, finding the open player, or it'll be an execution error. They look quite comfortable against this zone. Not trying to force anything. Haberfield's out deep, so they're not trying to put it into that space, which is a wise decision.
And Turnout is getting busy. They are finding space. They're finding width. And they have worked it all the way down. There it is.
Van Turnout to Broughton in the end zone. Really, really nice clinical offense against that zone. I expect that Civil War will put that zone away after that.
Well, it really didn't create any pressure, did it, Meg?
No pressure behind for Dawn of Justice. They were quite comfortable. Need to have a bit more pressure if they want to get a turnover from that zone.
10-9 the score. This game has been, well, to be perfectly honest, at the beginning it was straight up boring, but it has quickly turned into quite the riveting game and perhaps a precursor for what will happen on Sunday in the championship rounds.
If it is a Marvs v Marvs final, I think we can expect quite a different game from this. That being said, they both showed their hands. Everyone on the teams knows each other, so it'll be just a matter of who's got the energy, who's got the legs, who's in the right headspace in that particular game.
If it ends up being a marvelous DC final, I might need to introduce New Zealand Ultimate and the world at whole to the game of Bink. Do you know the game of Bink?
I do not know the game of Bink.
Okay. Well, the game of Bink is very simple. When a person has the Frisbee, you either bink them or you don't. And if you bink them and they complete the pass, it's -1. If you bink them and it's incomplete, it's a +1. And speaking of +1, Aaron Neal to Ben Waller. What a throw. Aaron Neal has cracked. He is done. He says, right, I'm going to take this game by the scruff of the neck. Woo! What a throw.
That was a lovely shot out of reach of the defender Valdez. He was in good position to cover the under, but that throw was just pinpoint, perfectly timed, perfectly calculated for its receiver. Ben Waller, safe hands, easy completion. 9-11, Civil War still in the lead. Maybe I'll stick with my 15-11 prediction that Civil War will get this game. Might bump Dawn of Justice up to like 12, maybe a 13, but I do think that Civil War's got this. I think they can tone it in when they need to.
They've looked really good. Really, really good. And in this game, we may have one of the national finalists, or the national championship, or the national champion. Maybe.
Yeah, MDC would love to take that trophy home again this year.
As much as I would love to see a Space Invaders Hammertron final, maybe some semi-final upsets there, Meg? What do you think?
Yeah, I'd love to see that as well.
If there is a team or two teams here that could beat Marvelous DC, who would you say they are?
I'd like to back Space Invaders. We had a good run against them the couple of times we've played them.
Not just because you play with them, though. You play for them.
Correct. I do think that Space Invaders is
Mara Neal!
a lovely block from Mara, and it is out of bounds. Danny still Paul just still chasing after that, but it is out of bounds. Lovely block there from Mara Neal. Yeah, Space Invaders was founded quite similar to this, to Marvelous DC actually, just a group of players in the U24 program coming together, wanting to play with their friends. Very similar origin story.
Well, Mara Neal's going to have to go
Lovely
here.
shot there from Haberfield up to Neal to Bridget Forsyth for the score.
Wow. That's some power. And that is a break. 12-9 the score.
12-9. And going back to who else might be a good contender for MDC, I can't speak very much for the Christchurch teams. I haven't seen them play. Rumor has it Credo's been on fire. HMC is another group similar to Space Invaders, a group of young, kind of university age, U24 aged players who I think can bring some good fight, some good skill, some good athleticism. Currently, Space Invaders and HMC are matched up against each other. Sad to be missing that game, hoping that it's going in favor of my team, but may the better team win. And we'll see what that brings for matchups this afternoon as we move out of pool play.
Well, it's interesting that you say may the better team win, because one of the interesting peculiarities of tournament play is that sometimes it's not the better team that wins, it's just the team that played better.
Definitely true. Especially with a number of these teams that are quite inconsistent. We saw Flood yesterday have a huge win against Kennelly. Wouldn't have called the game that way at all, but watching Flood play, they definitely came out and earned that. Kennelly a bit disadvantaged due to short numbers, but definitely one of those games where I'm not sure if, especially on paper, if you'd look at the teams and say, Kennelly should have that game easy, but a list of names versus the on-field energy and drive is completely different.
Well, that's going to be a brick. Dawn of Justice to go on offense. Neal.
Got some good smiles and high fives on the sideline between both teams. Clearly still one club.
Broughton with the throw and go. Neal and Stewart a little bit confused as to who's taking who. They go backwards. Downfield defense is good. Robertson looking. Hickey clears out. Stevenson goes under. Stevenson to Broughton, who makes the ground up well. Stevenson. Broughton. They're inside the red zone now. Only 20 yards to go. They need to hold. There is a stall violation by the looks of it. The uncontested. So some sort of marking infraction, I would imagine. And our Intrepid's sideline reporter, Blair Munro, has just given us some information that the game between HMC and Space Invaders.
HMC took half and are currently up 10-9. Be a good grind. Sending my team some good vibes. A bit down after our loss to Hammertron, but hopefully can find some fight. Speaking of fight, we've got Dawn of Justice out here. Lovely offensive movement here. But doing some good work behind the disc here.
It's a little bit static though.
Soper.
Oh, and then it clears up. Broughton with the throw. The assist. They needed that. 12-10 now the score. Oh boy.
Dawn of Justice still bringing that fight. Beautiful offensive movement.
You got more, give me more, let's do this. You got it, Andy.
Rich Carr with his booming voice, hyping up his team.
Yeah, Richard Carr is a large human being. That is a big human. It reminds me actually a little bit of Jeff Babbitt from the States. Exceedingly large human.
It's great value. Great man. Definitely want him on your team.
Yeah, a teammate you'd love to have.
Yeah, he was a bit surprised that he's not on Dawn of Justice, just due to the team names.
Okay.
But nah, it's great to see him back out on the field after taking a bit of a break due to some injuries.
Well, he's sporting the Superman name, so big title to fill, potentially. He's definitely got the build for it, that's for sure. So now the Civil War offense will come back out. Neil to Haberfield. For not the first time nor the last today. Waller goes, and then comes under. Fitzpatrick in space. It's a string play. Haberfield, Van Turnout, Van Turnout! It's a huge contact, massive contact on the play.
Van Turnout coming up against Haberfield, running two different lines, but it looks like it was a very clean bid, no contact.
Yeah, it seemed like after the disc had gone, the contact happened. Van Turnout with the inside line, and Haberfield just refused to give up on the play.
Van Turnout's had a great comeback into this Frisbee scene in New Zealand, just coming out a completely different player this season. Huge shot there, lovely throw. Might have been a high stall count, but unfortunately there's no receiver behind that disc.
Everyone's stopped. Pick is the signal from the field of play. I would imagine, though, that Van Turnout is going to have a throwaway listed here. No, it's going to come back. Okay.
Disc is coming back. It was a big look for there to be no receiver down there.
So, yeah, Van Turnout's going to get... He's going to buy a foul. And Van Turnout is... what a great game he's having.
He is having a great game.
He doesn't look like much. He's sporting the dark glasses and the long shirt and the daggy shorts. He is having a game.
He's put a lot of work recently into his fitness, coming out just
showing
an
because
insanely athletic player this season.
Like Liam Haberfield, right? Probably one of the most athletic players out there, and Van Turnout is a greatest attempt that's going to be completed.
Huge.
You're kidding me? A greatest that is completed.
Hines getting that.
But there is
lovely
another
layout,
call.
and Haberfield is calling that he was out of bounds before the disc was thrown back into the game. It was a huge play. Lovely, lovely attempt there to save the disc. Great read by Hubin to catch that.
Yeah, it looks like his knee was down. His left knee looked to be on the ground as he grabbed the disc. So, insane. Insane.
That's
what a game this has turned into.
Exactly the sort of athleticism that you'd expect to see from this club.
So they're actually going to go to the spectator on the sideline that has a good angle of it. That guy is not part of our crew, so we don't have access to this footage. We're obviously on the near side of the field. The call is out, which is actually what we saw as well. So
I believe that's Michael Jessup over there on the camera. He's from the University of Auckland, has been a supporter of the Auckland University teams.
We need to get that man a wireless dongle and stream his footage in on our system.
He made a wicked highlight reel from the the North Regional qualifier.
Neil, straight away, Van Turnout, Haberfield. We've seen this before. This time the result is different. And Haberfield is gone. He's gone to pat the dogs.
Haverfield's traditional celebration is a lap around the field with the disc still in hand. As a little teaser of that. Catches it, just keeps on going. Unstoppable.
Well, 13-10 now the score, and
15-11's looking more promising.
I think you're so close to on the money. Yeah, that's going on the highlight reel, that one. What an attempt that was. Well, Civil War now have to play defense. Coach Meg, what are you calling? What are you telling them to do here?
Well, the offense is coming out with Stevenson, though he hasn't proven to be a threat in the deep, so I wouldn't worry so much about their deep shots. I would say just trying to contain the disc around Robertson and Stevenson. Those are going to be the biggest threats on this O-line. So if we can get up there, going over a bit of marking, so they might be coming out here in a zone, trying to contain that movement.
Neil is going to pull for Marvelous DC, Civil War. Robertson signaling that he is ready for Dawn of Justice. We are approaching time cap. Only 8 or 9 minutes away.
Neil and Robertson coming up against each other is not a very common matchup. Normally they're quite a handy duo. They just recently played in the AUL together for the Adelaide Dragons, coming on the same team. They've played together for years and know each other's play styles very well, which will be something that Neil is trying to capitalize with the defense at this point.
Your crystal ball has, your prediction has borne out to be true. Civil War do bring the zone, as you predicted. Dawn of Justice have to go to work.
No pressure on the swings here, like we've seen before. So if Dawn of Justice can hold the disc and use their patience, be calm with it. Saying that, we've got a huge hammer cross field. Pick your receiver. Troy Stevenson is the receiver for that throw. Peter Hubin with a huge shot. Going out of bounds. Troy going for a bit of a greatest attempt, but making that difficult to be received. Carr is streaking deep.
Neil picks it up and calls himself a timeout and takes the hat off. That hat spends more times in his hand than on his head, I think.
We do have there's a video on YouTube somewhere in the archives of clips purely of Aaron Neal taking his hat off. There's a discussion here on whether or not a timeout can be called.
So they're just discussing how many timeouts you can have in one half. It is 2 in 1 half. We'll have to check the footage because honestly I haven't been paying attention to what has been called this half and what was called last half. I believe that Neil has called 1 in the last half and then 2 in this half. That seems to be the resolution that has happened. And okay, so 13-10 the scoreline. We'll take a very short break here. Well, the players will anyway. We will stay with you all the way.
There is the infamous Aaron Neal taking off his hat. Bit of an iconic move from him, really.
You have to wonder if his hat is like specially sized so that it's not too tight, that he can take it off easily, but it's not too loose that it falls off when he's running.
Everyone knows ultimate.
So what's the play? What do you do here if you're Dawn of Justice to get a block, get the Frisbee out of Neil's hands?
I put Stevenson up on Neil. Stevenson's just a hard, having somebody that big, somebody that long who can get in front of the disc. That's the play I'd put out there. Although I predict that they will put him maybe in the deep. Niels obviously loves his hucks, so if they can shut that down, put some pressure on that. Ruhlman being out there looking like a handy receiver. If you can shut that down, Stevenson and Ruhlman would be quite the matchup. Looks like Civil War is coming out in a horizontal here. Not sure how Dawn of Justice will set up. They've got Hubin on the mark. Stevenson hanging out here in the downfield.
Yeah. Looks like he's just going to poach completely off.
Civil War's got ladies downfield.
And there it is.
Risner very free there. To
Oh.
put it big out to Ruhlman.
Oh.
Can Soper get there?
Oh.
Huge layout deep from Soper. Amazing play. That was lovely. Very lovely defensive play there from Beck Soper on Dawn of Justice. Exactly what they needed.
Cometh the hour, cometh the woman. When your team needs you the most, big players make big plays. And there is a layout block for the highlight reel. And Stevenson is going to jack an ugly looking forehand. The ligaments were straining. The sutures nearly busted.
Peter Hubin and Beck Soper here. Or Beck Hubin, oh my goodness, Beck Hubin, sorry.
Here it is. It's a clump. A speculator to Stevenson who can't catch it.
The small Ben Calla getting huge and getting that block over Stevenson. What a sight.
Oh, Stevenson's in the area. He could make it up. It's 1-1. The gauntlet has been thrown and pick up, and he's hurt himself. This is not a good sign.
Stevenson coming off after that potentially rough landing. Future Dr. Ben Waller to take care of him and probably scold him for going on the field in the first place. Hopefully he's all right. Hopefully it's just a preventative injury. But it was a lovely block there, getting it back after Calla got the block on him.
Okay, Dawn of Justice are going to go back onto offense.
Got Beck Soper or Hubin. I'm not sure if she changed her last name after marrying Peter this time last year. She is picking up the disc and getting it moving.
She obviously made that huge block. She's listed as Soper on the team sheet, so I think we go with Soper for the moment until informed otherwise. Oh, the high release flicked it. Please, cut it out. It's too much. My heart can't take it. Soper again. Dawn of Justice, they have to find it now. Oh, what a layout grab.
Robertson
Cut
with
it
a huge
out.
pickup.
It's too
Out to
much.
Paul, just outside the end zone.
The reset is there. The throw to the middle. Wouldn't it be fitting? Oh, it gets hand blocked. This point, if there's one point you watch, it needs to be this one.
Sam Ruhlman with a lovely hand block there on Soper's attempted hammer. Knew what she was looking for, had a bit of a height advantage, got that block. We'll see if Civil War will get this score. Haberfield is drying off the disc, getting it ready for
Neil's
a big
got to
play.
go.
Out to
He's
Neil.
got to go. Neil's got to go. Soper's got to go.
Neil right outside the end zone, where you'd expect him to call a timeout, but as we've seen, he is
Oh,
out
he
of
throws
bounds.
a crap high release that Ruhlman saves. Wow, what a point that
Lovely
was.
grab from Ruhlman. Huge point for both Ruhlman and Soper there. Great matchup. Calla and Stevenson also coming up really strong in that point. That was indeed a point for this game. If you're going to watch any point, that was the point. 14-10, Civil War is in the lead now. I'm sticking hard to this 15-11 prediction. I think Dawn of Justice is going to come out firing. They're going to want this point. They're going to score it. And then Civil War is going to take it away.
If you've managed to predict the scoreline from halftime, I know what a great player you are and what a great coach you are, but I think that's just going to prove to everyone what a superstar you are. And speaking of superstars, Beck Soper is going to take a breather here on the sideline.
Beck Soper or Beck Hubin?
technically Hooven, but I don't have any documentation.
That was cash, man.
So she's technically, according to the government, she's Beck Soper.
That's cash.
But Hooven by preference.
That is a huge, huge layout block.
You always get baited.
That is, as a player, you got to acknowledge how hard that is, because you're catching up to the disc. Like
Yes.
you've got to, like you're moving at full pace and then to bid.
Laying out, coming out of a fast pace, when you're full force and throwing your body at the ground, that is not an easy feat. A lot easier, I find, to lay out when you're going for a handler swing. This is pretty close. You're not up to pace yet. Pretty good. Ooh, we've got Liddell setting up a shot here to Van Turnhout, who will take it down over Fitzpatrick. A lovely grab. Amazing movement here from Dawn of Justice.
That turnout has just roofed Fitzpatrick. He has posterized the young guy. Cut it out.
Two phenomenal receivers going up for that disc, and Van Turnhout coming down with it. Liddell
That's 11.
throwing the assist to Hines for the score, 11-14. Civil War will come out on offense, and we'll see if they've got a big play in store.
What a grab by Van Turnout. He has posterized Andrew Fitzpatrick.
Neil is not coming on for this point, happily seated in a camp chair under the tent. Interesting decision
Go
for
back
him.
to this catch here. Oh, yeah. That is max height, that one. Max height. I think Van Turnout is going to be going onto the All-Star team.
Nice point there from Abby Liddell as well.
I think Beck Soper can join Van Turnout on that side. They have been outstanding for marvelous DC Dawn of Justice here in this game. Speaking of outstanding players, Mara Neal takes the field.
We've got Fitzpatrick, Haberfield, Mara Neal, Waller, Ian Stewart, Bridget Forsyth, and EJ Holdaway out on offense here for Civil War. Bit of a stacked line, but you could say that about any of these lines.
Well, they're all pretty decent. They all know how to fling a disc. Haberfield looks for the middle, resets to the side.
Mara Neal getting nice and free in the downfield here. EJ dancing for the disc. Waller and Haberfield, and we've got Mara Neal going.
Oh, he gets foot blocked!
Huge block.
But Waller makes up for the play and catches it anyway. Fitzpatrick now in space. Oh, Ian Stewart's not looking, but the throw is nice and floaty, so he catches it anyway. He's going to reset to Haberfield. Haberfield wants Waller up the line. That clears the space for Mara Neal and the around break. The downfield cuts have stopped. They're tired. It is warm out here. Neal, high stall. He's going to put a speculator up. It floats. And the boys are going to split it 50-50.
Not sure if it was inbounds. Haberfield has already put the disc on the ground after calling himself in.
So they're going to have a quick conversation here as to what.
I reckon Fitzpatrick's calling a strip. He wants this. He wants the stat.
It's called a strip on Liam Haberfield.
Potentially a foul?
Yeah, it looks like
Foul
a foul
contact.
call. Angus Hines is calling what looks like a bump foul. Just affecting his ability to go up and contest for the Frisbee. And it looks like Valdez is involved. Or maybe even who technically caught it, and therefore whether they were in or out, because Haberfield was in and it looked like Fitzpatrick was actually short of the end zone line.
Giving the disc to Fitzpatrick?
Yeah, Fitzpatrick has called strip. Let's go with that. And
All smiles out there in this discussion, so clearly one club. Good to see that nobody's getting too heated about it. Fitzpatrick bringing it in on this goal line, finding Waller just outside. A round shot to Ian Stewart, and he bids and misses it. Ian Stewart is always good for one layout at a tournament. Unfortunately, he used his good layout during warm-up yesterday. It's always the struggle. As an elder statesman myself, I understand that, you know, you've only got so much bounce left in the legs, and well, that was a pretty good bid there. I love you. Huge layout attempt for the D from Fitzpatrick, but doesn't quite get there.
Hines to Soper. Back to Hines. This is to ruin the prediction.
Paul
Great throw
out
to
there
space.
receiving it. Will Holton that throw to Valdez.
Now Waller in the area. Hines shows and goes. Fakes and bakes and shakes, and there's the big around to Valdez.
Just missing that bid. Civil War back to fight for this game.
Haberfield's going to take his time here.
Taking a breather, letting everyone get set up. Waller starting his cut too early. Out to Ian Stewart.
Neil involved in everything.
Pick called.
One's on Fitzpatrick. Neil will maintain the Frisbee. The disc will be on 0. Haberfield gets up the line. The throw's there. Waller goes to the break side. The hammer.
Big hammer across field to Waller, who catches that with little pressure applied on the break side. And that is a 15-11 score, as predicted. Civil War taking that game.
I said you were pretty good at Frisbee, didn't I? So what a great prediction that was, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us here today. This has been Game 1 and Day 2 of the New Zealand Mixed Ultimate Championships.
So
Meg, any closing thoughts or comments you want to make?
just excited to see how this tournament progresses. If we see these teams come up against each other in the final, what an exciting moment for this club that would be. Would be very interesting to see how that game is different from this. Would be a good game for this club to take away and analyze. This game will be exciting for them as well. A bit of a slow start, fast forward through the first third of the game. But yeah, very good Frisbee out here. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, and we'll be back very shortly. 11 a.m. local time, we'll be back with HMC playing Mobility Scuba. We look forward to seeing you then, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back soon.
Alti.tv.
Work that out for me.